Hey Nancy,
Hi.
my video is not starting. Why is that?
Um, I don't know.
I'm just gonna do a brief thanks everyone for coming. Today we have Nancy talking about Divi, doing a walkthrough of the back end of Divi. Next month we're gonna have Mike Scampini talking about learning management systems in WordPress, and the month after that we have Bruce Jones doing SEO in October. So Nancy, you have the hosting, so take it away.
Okay, I'm going to share my screen. So I'm going to wait until this top bar goes away. Okay. Divi is a premium theme that is built by Elegant Themes. It's a fairly large software program. This isn't their first theme. They've also built a theme called Extra, which is primarily more for actual blogging and like newsletter type sites. But they launched Divi and it totally changed their company, and it's their #1 theme that they sell. The pricing is fairly good. You have a couple options. This pop-up keeps coming up, which is just $89 a year for as many websites as you want. As you know, it'll have all the updates and everything that they offer you for just $89 a year. Or if you're like me, I bit the bullet and I bought it at $249 for a lifetime access. And they're super good as far as like putting out a ton of content. It's like pretty much every week or two, they come out with a new layout pack, which I will show you in a moment. So the website is this elegantthemes.com. So you can check it out for yourself. And I already started putting together a ad hoc website. I'm going to keep moving the dashboard around a little bit here. When you sign up for Divi, you're going to get a zip file with your account, and you just save it on your desktop or someplace on your computer, because when you load it up as a theme, you just add new and you just load up the zip file and it'll be in there. Once you get Divi, it'll attach a little doodad here. You'll go into theme options. To maintain your updates, you go into the updates tab here on the options. You enter in your username and your API key that you get when you make your purchase for the theme, and just save changes. The other changes that I do, or things that you should be aware of, is the integration with Divi. You can add code, script and style codes, into the head of your website. I have some saved right here. I'll explain that in a moment, or later on. If you have Google Analytics or Facebook Pixel, you can add them in this area here. They have a couple more areas where you can add your own custom code for whatever you're doing. So if you want to like load in a special JavaScript script, I don't know, like GSAP or what have you, you can load in the script link in there. Another thing when you first come into loading this in Divi is you go into the builder and then the advanced. This is normally set as enabled. You want to turn that off, especially when you're building a site and you're making a lot of changes all the time. You just want to turn off the static CSS, because otherwise your cache builds up and you're not seeing your changes. So it's really annoying. It also has like the product tour in here. I usually leave these alone, and then whenever I run into them, I just shut them off. But they do have a lot of help videos available as you're like creating your website. And then over here in the general, here is where you can load your logo, which I've already loaded one up here. The color pickers is actually kind of fun. If you're working on a client's website and they have a particular brand and they have a certain set of colors, you can just click on here, enter in the new hex code, E5C5, and it automatically will save so that when you go into actually building your pages, adding your text, and if you want to change colors, you'll be able to just click on this these buttons and it'll already have the hex code saved. 9. And one more. 41A C. And then usually I'll do transparent. I might change the black to, come on, there we go. So you can customize the color picker however you want right off the bat. So if you know what your branding is, what the colors are, just plunk it right in there, you're good to go. Let's see, I pretty much leave everything else as is. You want to enable the Google fonts because Divi comes with all of the Google fonts, all of them. You'll have your various social media you can enable or disable. Let's see, even Google font subsets. Further down at the bottom is custom CSS. So when you're constructing your pages and you want to do something strange or different, you can actually add in your custom CSS right in here if you're not using a child theme. There's a couple of places where you can do custom CSS. Usually I end up using, I always use a child theme, but then for like third party, like Gravity Forms, Contact Form 7, I'll test stuff out in here and then plunk them into the child theme, and then this will be all blank by the time I've launched a website. And then once you make your changes, just click Save Changes. Okay, so once you have that set up, and once you, set up your settings for WordPress, you're pretty much ready to start building your website. So what you do is you go to Pages, and I've already constructed a few pages, as you can see. But we're going to go by scratch. So Add New. Use the Divi Builder. You can also use the Gutenberg, the default editor. That works just fine with that as well. Here you can build a page by scratch. You can choose a pre-made layout that either Elegant Themes has offered or that you have already built on various different websites and that you saved. You can bring it in. Or you can clone an existing page. This is fun because I recently did a website that had like 40 pages and 20 of them were product pages and they all look the same. It's just the name of the product and the content. So all I did was just clone the existing page and pick that product page and just changed everything. It took like an hour to do 20 pages. So it's really fast. It's fun. But we're just going to go over here to choose a pre-made layout. We'll go over here first. And it automatically comes up with the Elegant Themes layouts that they offer. You'll get emails from them. You'll get it's not necessarily always their layouts. It's also blog posts about how certain plugins work with Divi, how you can utilize them, tutorials on how to take advantage of some of the features. You know, they really go all out in trying to educate you in how to use their theme, because they want people using it. But they've got all these layout packs, and you can use them for free. All of the graphics and photos that they have on here is free. So you can turn around and use them for your own clients, for developing their websites. So they're fairly free on that. And you can do a search. Let's see. They have a jewelry pack I was playing around with earlier. And let's bring in their contact page, because I haven't done that. So you just click this. You can view it, and it'll take you to a new page with all of the layouts. You can see all the layouts they have for this particular pack. And you just click, and it'll take a minute to load, or a few seconds to load. And here's the page. It's pretty much already set up for you. All you have to do is change out the colors, change out the fonts, change out the text, and that's it. Okay. But we also want to, let me save this first. Publish. It won't let you leave until you save it. So, and you have to exit. Sorry if I'm talking to myself a little bit. I'm going to go over to the landing page of this layout pack, because there will be more stuff for us to look at rather than the contact page. But I just want to show you how you can like bring in an existing layout pack from Elegant Themes. For instance, this is the layout pack for the jewelry. And again, all of this artwork is free. And you can just like delete out, like say, you know, we really don't need this video module. You enable the visual builder here. Where did it go? There we go. So if we didn't want this video in here, you just have to hit the trash can. It's gone. And since there's nothing in the row or the section, you can just delete it out. And it's gone. That is until you save it. You don't have to save it. And if you like, oh nuts, I needed that back, you just Control-Z and it should come back. It should. There we go. And plus, down here, you'll note that there's this purple button here. If you expand this, over here is the various views of the page. For instance, they have the wireframe view. Move this guy down here. Come back up to the top. So anything in purple or blue, those are sections. Those are like the outer containers of the particular area. Within that, you'll have rows, and then rows will also have column structures. And you can change it to however you want, just by clicking here. There. You suddenly have 4 columns. And you can simply just drag the text over here. You can add, let's say, a blurb. I apologize if I'm going a little fast. So this is the wireframe view. You click over here for desktop, and you're back to where we were. And you'll note, because we changed the column structure, this is kind of strange looking now. And then you have tablet mode. And then phone. And I found that the phone width, it's down to 479 pixels wide. And I found when I'm testing for smaller phones, like down to 320 pixels wide, I'll end up having to put in extra code for the media query for the super tiny phones. But this is a good way of like blocking things out, getting it somewhat set up. We'll go back to desktop mode. Another cool feature, instead of the wireframe, they have this button over here, which is their layers. And it's another way of looking at the structure of your page. And if you want to, say, move this whole section down here all the way up to above the About Us, you just click and hold and drag it up. Whereas in the wireframe mode, it's a little bit more tricky. Close that. Because if you grab the crosshairs here to move the entire row, and you're like sort of like going up and like, okay, I'm sort of there, maybe not. So it's a little fussy in the wireframe mode. That's why they came out with this layers mode. It just shortens everything up. And you'll note also too, it helps to label all of your sections, rows, and modules. Because when you start moving things around and you're in this mode, you're like, well, what's exactly in this blurb? What's exactly in this header? You're not sure. So you're going back and forth all the time. So it's nice that you can change the admin label to whatever you want here. You know, and this is, you can like double click and highlight and retype right on here. Blurb 2, or something else that's more descriptive so that you can track and find things without too much trouble. So as I was talking about, oops, I'm sorry, I should go back here. You have your sections and you have your rows, and inside that are all of your modules, as you see. And each of the modules have their own unique, somewhat unique features. You can, you know, you have, it looks exactly like the old WordPress Mighty Mouse or whatever we used to call it. But you can also go into the text and change it with the actual HTML code. This is good for if you need to add span tags so that you can add a class or an ID where you can add different colors to the font, or just so you can target things more finely. You can do that here. Design. Text is always referring to the paragraph text, links, lists, unordered and ordered, and block quotes. You can change the fonts. And regarding fonts, Divi allows you to upload a font. Let's see. Let's see if this will do it. Yeah, okay, there. Then, I think there, upload. I've noticed some hosting companies are a little bit more fussy about allowing you to upload a particular font. So this is for like if you've created your own font in like Illustrator or Photoshop or whatever. You can add whatever custom font you want. And even if this doesn't work in here, you can add the font into your child theme and bring it into your hosting. I recently had to do that for SiteGround, so that's fun. But if we go to the desktop view, hopefully we can see the changes. I believe it's right here. Yep. And you can change the colors. Again, this is with the color picker that you had set at the very beginning in the Divi options tab. And then you have your text size, letter spacing, line height. You can change the alignment. Heading text is its own separate little section, and it'll cover all the H1 through the H6. You can set that up however you want. Oops. I wish they'd make this little sidebar fatter because I keep missing it. Also, within the module itself, you can add a link to it. So you can also change it to in a new tab. You can put a background color here. Design, order, 50%. You can add border, an actual border also. Now I should make that black so you can see it. There we go. It's not very pretty, I know. Box shadow. And transform. This is a fun feature because you can change this just by simply dragging. They have translate. You can spin it around. And if it's not fitting with what you want it to do, you can just hit this little curly Q and it'll get you back where you want it from where you started. There's even a skew and origin. So what you can also do is this arrow here, if you click on that, it'll have like, this is going to be what the state of this text module is going to be when you first come to that page. And then you can select a hover effect. So let's go back down over here. Save. Exit, save. Oh, come on. This always annoys me. It takes a little time for it to get there. Exit. So as I'm hovering over the element, it's moving because it was set in the transform of the module. I'm not saying that this is what you should do on everything, but it's a fun little thing to play with. Getting back in here, if you want to add, suppose you want to add a new section. Let's see. So just by hovering over various parts of the page, you'll find these lines popping up. Just click on the plus button and you can add a new section, and you have regular, specialty, or full width. Full width is usually for like your headers. You can have a full width image, full width video, what have you. It's automatically set to be full width. If you go with regular, it'll be, this section will be full width, but the rows inside it will be preset to like 80% and centered. Okay, and the specialty are combinations. Come on. So that you have one side will be like a full, a single column, but then on this side, you can have additional rows with more columns than what a normal regular section would be. So it's nice, like when you have like a full width image in the background and you want to have a pair of buttons side by side, you can do that with this section, with the way this row is set up. So let me set up here a background image, see if I have something wide enough. So this image is filling the entire section. Sorry, I have to, there. And then we're in the row, which has two columns here. So we want to add a button. And I'm going to show you something really cool. It was just announced. It's called presets. So if you have a site that you're going to have like maybe 2 to 3 different style of buttons everywhere, and there's going to be multiples of them, what you're able to do is style the buttons and set them as templates, basically. So you can have click here to sign up. We'll put just a hashtag in here. design button, yes. And let's make it black, background color. Go with the sand. We'll use our chroma. And you can pick like whatever icon you want to use for like the hover effect. They have various ones here, or you can turn it off. I tend to turn it off because I'm not a fan of some of these icons. So I turn it off. Then let's give it some spacing, TBW. And then up here, you'll notice the presets. Just click on this. Create new preset from current styles. And you give it a name. So button 1. You can also set this particular style up as a default setting. So whenever you add a new button module, it will automatically load this style up for you. So let's create a couple different ones and you'll see how it works. Just click on that, and I should probably put in some hover effect. Design button. Let's see. The hover effect. We'll go with a teal background. Save. Yes. You'll notice that the whole module flipped around. That's for the global settings. If you wanted to like create a different button for a very specific purpose and you don't want it to be set as a template or global to be reused anywhere else, you don't have to set it as a preset. So that's something you can do here. So click save, and then we have another here button. Again, this is the normal default style that Divi gives you for the buttons. And if I wanted to create another one here, just like that, I just click on here and I select the button 1. And there it is. It's already done. How fun is that? That was just recently announced by Elegant Themes like a couple weeks ago. So this is just on the buttons. So, I mean, you can do this to any of the modules. If you have a ton of blurbs or a ton of like an FAQ where you're using toggles for each of your questions, you can create a style for each of them, and you just click, 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 and you're done. Let's see, what else do we need to do? So hopefully that made sense. I hope I'm not going too fast and everybody's got questions in the chat perhaps. Okay, and then if you want, let's see, let me save this and get out of here. Save. If you already have a layout that you pre-made, you can add it in, which I'm going to show you right now. It's similar to the existing layouts that Elegant Themes gives you. Use the builder. You just go with the build from scratch, and I close that out. You open up this submenu, and they have this portability. I'm sorry, I have to keep moving, you guys. And you can export or import a layout. And I already have one ready right here. So we're going to pop that in. This happens sometimes. Let's try that again. Okay, so the file's loaded. It'll replace the existing content unless you uncheck this. You can download a backup before you import things. So you just click on import. I don't care what this page is because there's nothing on here. And I brought this particular layout up because Divi has a module. They don't have a table module, which I'm kind of disappointed about, but you can create one for yourself if you know HTML. And for like the office hours for a particular client, you know, it annoys me when I see office hours, the days and the hours all mixed up and they're not spaced very nicely. So I just used a code module. Let me move you guys back down here. This is a code module, and you can just type in straight up HTML to create the table. And the lines here aren't part of the actual website. It's because I have the actual code taken the lines out somewhere else on the actual website. So that's why it's showing up here, because that particular code didn't follow through, because it's sitting over on the child theme. So once you have that there, you can do, if you have particular code for just this particular page, for instance, you can click this gear icon down here, and that's a settings for just this page. And if you go in the advanced for custom CSS, I actually have something here, dot entry content. Sorry. Variations. And you'll see it, one of the lines went away. Nope, now it went back. There you go. And then with some custom adding in margin and padding, you can get this shifted over so it's more centered over the office hours. But the code module is good for shortcodes for, like, say, gravity forms. You can also use shortcodes within the text module. It's usually standard to put it in the code module. But you can also, instead of just HTML, you can also put in any kind of jQuery functions. Code that you might have. So, and it's just right there. Save. And you'll notice too, let's see, I'm using right now the standard WordPress header and footers, because when you get into Divi, we'll go back over here, they have what's called a builder, theme builder. I have some things set up already, but you can create your own custom header that will overwrite the WordPress style for both the header and the footer. And you can also create templates for your blog posts. So I'll show you that in a bit. So let's create a new header. And if you do go with a global header, it'll go across all of your pages and all, your entire site. And it's exactly like how it looks on the pages. It uses all of the modules, all of the layouts built from scratch. And we are going to actually change this to a 2-column. And as I'm building this, you'll see that there's like all this spacing around here. Divi automatically puts spacing in on top of everything. You can change that by going to, not the sizing, spacing, and take out all of the padding, top and bottom. And you like click the link, it automatically feed it into the bottom. Okay. And then let's do the same thing with the row. The row, let's make it full width. So on the main row, in the design settings, sizing, there's a gutter width between the 2 columns. We're going to take it down to 1, equalize the columns. And then see, it's automatically set at 80%. We're going to change that to full width, 100%. And you have to change it here too. So now the row is full width, and we're going to take the spacing, take the padding out. Even though that these are blank, there's still padding in there. It's very annoying. And when I first started, it was like, wow, where is this padding coming from? But it's like blank. No, it isn't. It's actually in there. So we're going to put in our logo. So we're going to use the image module. I'll pick mine. Okay, save. Don't worry about how big it looks. We're going to fix that. And then we're going to add in our menu. And if you have like 12 different menus for your website, it'll list all 12. I only have the one, so we're going to use the one that I built. You can also put your logo in there if you want. I don't like doing that because of the spacing. It just doesn't seem to work right. Elements, if you have WooCommerce, you can show your shopping cart in there. If you want search, you can like put your search icon in there. You can put a background in there, but we're not going to do that. Layout, we're going to go centered. And for some reason, they offer upwards for the drop-down menu. I don't know why, but they offer it. So we're going to stick with downwards on the mobile menu. Menu text, going to make that black. Going to change our font to my Chroma. And you can see when you're going into like the all the Google fonts, they're all in here. So you can spend quite a bit of time going through that, and I have. And we're going to make the main text color black. Change the font size. Letter spacing is fine. And as you're doing this too, and even when you're building the pages, you know, just click this little phone icon and like say, okay, well, for tablet mode, you know, we need to change this, you know, to something smaller or something. And then for phone, even smaller yet. This is true on like the text or any module. For responsiveness, you can change it with these tabs by hitting this little icon here, and you still have your hover effect too. Desktop hover. And then let's see, for the drop down, background color, menu line color, active link, background there. The icons, this will be for your shopping cart. So black, search, black, hamburger, black, and there's sizes here also. I usually leave those where they are. There's more settings, like if you included the logo as part of your menu, you can like make some changes to that here. We're gonna do it in the other thing. So that's that. And then for the logo, let's make this smaller. Sizing. Let's make it 30%. You can change how you want it as far as alignment goes. Spacing, no. Margin, padding. Let's put some margin on the far side there. So let's say 4 BW. No, padding. 4 BW. So it moves, gave you some space over here. Save. And you can also check it too, again, with desktop and for phones. I know it's not the prettiest thing. I spend a lot of time creating my my menus so that everything is centered and it's not taking so much space. And for some reason, it's automatically opening up the down, the drop down for some reason. So once you save it down here, you click the X up here because we're still in the builder. The only thing that we changed was adding this menu. So you click out of here and you'll see now it's a global header and it's going across all of my other templates for all my other pages. You click Save Changes. And now if we go to visit the site, here's our menu, our new header. And again, it's the same thing for, it's the same thing for the footer. It will override whatever WordPress defaults to, where it'll have like, you know, the WordPress logo and all that fun stuff. You still have the customizer that you can play with if you want. I barely use the customizer. Dashboard. Go back down into Divi. Sorry, my screen's going a little haywire here. Theme Builder. You just click on here to add global footer. And it's exactly like how we did the header. And I was going to do, let's see, I'm going to put in a text module here. But we're going to make this the copyrights. Delete that. And you'll note too, there's this little icon here. If you click on that, it's dynamic content that'll automatically be added in into your footer or into that module. So for instance, we want the current date. Give it a second. So here's the current date. Before that, we want to write in, say, all rights reserved. You actually have to put a space. then copyright. And then if you want just the year date format, sorry, I have to keep moving you guys around. You click on custom, and you can add, if you know PHP, you know the capital Y is for just the year. Save changes, and you see it over here. All rights reserved at 2020. And because it's dynamically set, so when 2021 comes around, it will automatically change. You don't have to do a thing. Once this is in here, you're done. So there's that. And then usually there's like a whole bunch of, you know, text, and you can create links for various other, like if you have a privacy policy, and in the link, you'll see there's this icon here again. And if I had one set up, let's say page link, I believe there should be a privacy. No, I didn't set one up. We'll just do this one. It's dynamically set now. I didn't have to go in and put in the actual URL. And you can style this exactly how you would do any other text modules. Save. Close this out. Save changes. And here's the global footer. It's spreading through all the other templates. So when we go back to our site, and we come all the way down to the bottom, here's our footer. The template, the Divi Builder is such a game changer, because suppose you have a blog on your page or on your website, and you want all of the blog posts to look the same instead of what WordPress usually gives you. You can change it. And when you enter in a new post, it will default to what's built in the template of the builder. And I'll show you that for the posts. So this is a custom body for all of the posts. If you click on the gear icon, you can have it go to all pages, whatever you set as far as the template is for your design. You can set it to like a specific page, child of specific pages, your blog posts, categories, authors of your blog posts, you know, archives. It goes on, and if you add WooCommerce, it'll have templates for your WooCommerce pages, for all of your product pages, especially the product pages, because that dynamic content, you can create a dynamic, not even the most, you know, not out of the cookie cutter WooCommerce default template that they give you. You can change it because of Divi, and you can change it within the builder, and it will, like, you know, if you add like 20 other products after you built the template, they will all dynamically fit into that layout. You know, you have one for projects and even the 404 and search results. So I already have this saved for all of the blog posts. So I'll open this up so you can see what that looks like, because when you first look at it, you're like, oh, this is ugly. No, wait, what? So Basically, this is a 2-column row, and I've set this up to have the title, the post title settings for like the title of your blog post, your featured image. It'll have all your meta tags in here if you want, and you can change things around. You can design it so that, say, the meta text, you want this to be my chroma again, change the color, what have you. We'll even change the heading text. And you'll note too, as I'm hovering over this, you'll see these brush icons. You click on that, it'll take you right over to the design tab and like what setting that is showing. So this is an H1 tag. And we're gonna set this to my chroma 2. Give it all that, center it. Let's give it some line height. All of this you can change. And then over here is going to be the post content settings. So all of the internal parts of your actual blog post, all of the headings, the text, the paragraphs, the links, you can change how all of these look just by setting it in here. And so come back down here, save, because I saved all this over here. So we're going to leave that. And then I'm going to close this, save. See, it doesn't let you leave until it actually saves, so which is a good thing. And it'll say all changes saved up here. So then I'll go to my site. I already pre-entered a couple of lorem ipsum posts. So give us a second to load up and we'll take a look at what it looks like now. So click on the blog. And then when we go, this is a typical blog, what the blog will look like. And here, blog post 1. The meta text is green, the font's changed. Here's the featured image. And in here, when I entered in this blog post, all of this was actually with Gutenberg. I just copied and pasted right in there. This section here is Divi. This is a block quote made by Divi. Post. Edit. You can see it working here. But this is all blocks. This is a Gutenberg block. This is Divi. And here's the pencil icon so you can change it. And it's similar to like what we were dealing with in, like in the builder, where it's just concentrating on just one that section. Design, text, and this is block quote. Save. Save. And here it is. So it works really well with Gutenberg. I love it. I can't say it far enough. So yeah, with the builder and now with the presets, it's just really upped its game. And with the, I was going to mention too, real quick, cancel updates. Get back over here. Back at when I first started, I mentioned in the options tool that I had this custom code. When you're dealing with the header, this is an annoying thing about Divi. I'll admit, I was really disappointed when they came out with this with the builder. I thought it would be perfect and I wouldn't have to worry about anything, but no. Sometimes if your header in your builder is really high, there's a lot of space taking up in that section, and you're building your pages, the content on there, sometimes you have to add space, add margining on top of all that content, so that what will happen is that when the builder goes into effect, the header will overlap your content and it'll cut like your images down. It'll cut over your text if you have text up at the top. So some of us in the Divi community came up with this bit of code that I save voraciously, so that it automatically calculates the height of what's in the builder, so that it will then push all of the other content on the page down automatically for you. Otherwise, what you have to do is add margin top to the first section of your pages. So once you have that activated, save. Sorry, I don't know if it's saving. Yeah, it's still doing it. So you see there's a little bit more space, and it'll keep, oh, I didn't set the positioning. Another factor in Divi is that you can position your items individually by module or by sections, by rows, whatever you want, really. You can position things as absolute, fixed, relative. So we'll go back into the builder and into the global header. And on the whole section, because say you want your header to stay on top of the browser screen for whatever visitors come to your website, you can set it to fixed. And then they also have the Z index. You just set that up to like that. Save. I need to move you guys again. Save. Exit out of here. So now it should, as you scroll down, it's staying fixed to the top of the screen and it's on top of all of your contents because the Z index has been set. And you can do positioning on any element. So if you have like a pop-up module, you can like have it display none, and then at a certain point in the scrolling, you can have it display block and it'll pop up. And it'll stay in, like, say, off to the side of your screen of the website. You can do that there too. Let's see. So yeah, I think I covered pretty much that I wanted. You can also set what's known as visibility. I'm sorry. So for this, let me enable the visual builder here. For instance, if you have a really complex design and you have, say, a really, you know, for instance, on desktop, you have a 2-column or 3-column design where you have like a really long photo on one of the columns, but then when you go down to tablet or phone, you'd rather have that be horizontal and that'll be like a separate image. What you can do is hide sections, rows, modules. We're going to use a row. Go over to advanced, and there's this visibility. You can disable on phone, tablet, and desktop. And what it does is that it grays it out. So while you're logged in, you'll still be able to see the element in here. But if you log out and you go to this page, you won't see this because it's all been disabled. So what I would do is I would leave it on for desktop, and then you would save that, and then you would go back to the row and you would duplicate it, and then this one, oops, sorry, you would go back into the visibility, you would disable it for here, phone and tablet, and now this one would only be seen on tablet and phone. And you can even do that where you have like 3 different copies of the same element, and you would have one for desktop, one for tablet, one for phone, and depending on the design that you have in mind. So that's an option too. And then I'm going to delete these guys because they're in my way. There's a cool thing also. We're going to go into these blurbs. They should be blurbs. Yes, they are. So you set up these blurbs and they're sort of okay, but you want to make some changes. So for instance, let's change the title text to our Microma. All right. But you also want this change to be affected to these other 2 over here. You can do that and make it easier on yourself by clicking the kebab icon here. And actually, let's see, you can even go fine tune this too. Go back to the title text, Microma. Here's the kebab again. You can extend the title font to all the blurbs on the entire page, the section, the row, or the column. So if you have like 20 different blurbs across your page, you just click here and guess what? It's all been changed for you. It's such a time saver. And I'll show you again. We'll change the icon, the background of the icon. The circle here, we'll change that to this green. So we'll do that, and then you can even do it here. Let's see if it'll do it. Extend blurb styles to this page. There you go, done. A lot of times I end up talking to clients on the phone and they're like, can we change this color on these icons or change the font to this? And I'm like, sure, hang on a second. Click, 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 click. And I'm like, okay, reset, you know, refresh your page, and it's done. And if you even wanted to move, like say this module over here, you just drag it and you drag this one over here, done. And then I did mention in my description that there are, you can actually do grid, CSS grid straight up. And I did a little page here for you. I have to exit the visual builder though, sorry. So we'll go to the grid page. And this is CSS Grid. These are for expediency. I just did text modules, but you can use any module that you want. Like if you want an image in here, you can do that. If you want this to be a blurb or you know, a number countdown type of module, you can do that here too. But each of these have classes. You can add classes and IDs to any section, row, column, module, you know, anything. So we'll go into the wireframe. So here's the content, and then in the advanced, you have your CSS and ID and classes. In here, you just type in the name of the class or the ID. You don't put in the dot and then the name of the class. You don't put in the hashtag and the name of the ID. You just type it in. Divi automatically knows that that's an ID. This is a class. So once you have your classes all set up, and then what I did for this is I did the on-page CSS. Let me open that up. Advanced custom CSS. And here's all of the code to make the grid. This is exactly how you would do it in any other coding. Like if you were just doing, you know, VS Code, this is what you would be typing in to create this grid. And again, that can go into your child theme CSS file. It can go into the Divi options CSS. So here's, you know, how it lays out for tablet, and then here's how it is for phone. It's automatically responsive because I've coded it to be responsive, and how to lay it out. And Divi also has, I'm wrapping up, I promise. I'm not as comfortable with this particular feature. I'm still learning, so bear with me. Save, so I can get out of the visual builder. They have what's called scroll effects. So you can have animations. I didn't even get into the animations, I'm sorry. But you can animate anything you want on this thing. But they have this animation effect for as a person is scrolling down the page. So I have this set up where as I'm scrolling, the hands of the clock are moving. And it's the scroll effects. It's an advanced version of it, of the animation. So I'm not as versed with that. And we'll go into the back end on that. Second, advanced scroll effects. Yeah, vertical motion, horizontal motion, fading in, fading out, scaling up, scaling down, rotating. This one is using the rotate primarily. And you can set how it's rotating. This is for the second hand. So the ending resolution is super high. So yeah, I see this effect used mostly on like WooCommerce type of product pages, so that you have like the image of the product, like the Nike shoe, and it's sort of like you got the athlete jumping out towards you. That's the scroll effect. So I think I blew everybody's mind, hopefully, or not, depending on your opinion. I think we can open it up to questions.
That was awesome, Nancy. I've got, you probably didn't weren't able to keep up with the chat, but I've got a bunch of questions that people were asking, so we're just going to go through them in order from the chat window.
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, so Karen has the oldest question on here. She wanted to know if you can set up style sheets for style pages.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, you just basically, you create a brand new page and you use your presets or the global settings where you can preset your font styles for your text modules. You can preset your buttons like I showed you before. The preset really though is like, I would use that first, and then the templates. Those two together is going to make your life so much easier. So that's what I would do. And then the color picker, you obviously you would have your particular colors that you want for a particular website. So yeah, I would do that.
Cool, thanks, Nancy.
Sure.
Tremi asked, how is Divi page performance in the front end in terms of loading time?
Yeah, that has been an issue on a couple of versions ago, from what I understand. It's gotten way better. It depends on your hosting, primarily. I always add in I believe it's the asset cleanup plugin. So it will, if you're running like Contact Form 7, you can like prevent it from spreading code into all of your pages instead of just the contact form page, that type of thing. And then I would also add like an async JavaScript type plugin to compress everything. And that seems to do the trick, honestly. I know Elegant Themes is working on trying to strip out any code that you don't end up using, which will help. But it's a long process in order to get that coded into Divi. It's because it does so much already. There's just a lot of code in this. It's a software. It's a beast basically. And if you're adding in WooCommerce on top of it, it's a nightmare. Because I just recently did a website where they were hosted over on Namecheap, and it was taking up to like 13 seconds to load. Yeah. We migrated them over to Flywheel and it dropped down to 3. So it was substantially different just from the hosting aspect of it. And I would say that's true for any theme.
Yeah, I saw that lots of the theme builder and page builder, they're having this issue. I mean, they give all this feature, but
yeah,
talking about performance, it's really a headache for many of us. Okay, that's a good explanation. Yeah, thank you, Nancy, for.
Yeah, I highly recommend Flywheel as a host, and also SiteGround. Divi, or Elegant Themes rather, has come into an agreement with those two hosting companies and along with Pressable, so that if you're opening up a new account with them and you're going to use Divi, they will automatically load Divi for you. All you would have to do is enter in your credentials to get it working. So they're doing their best to optimize their servers for Divi. So, anyone else?
Kathy had a question. Can you mix together regular WordPress editor with Divi editor? I think you showed an example after she asked that.
Yeah, I usually use it mostly with the blog posts. That seems to be easiest for me for some reason. But you can either do just all Divi in the blog post, or you can mix and match, like what I showed you with the block quotes, where that's specifically a Divi section within Gutenberg.
That's super cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Sharon asked if you're able to share, that code you had where you added it to the back end that changes the, I think it was the height of the top margins of the builder.
Yeah.
It gets around. Are you able to share that? Is that something that we can put like on Drive for anyone, or is that a?
Yeah, I can share it. I can.
Oh.
I just have it on a little notepad, text file.
You can, like,
I keep
drop
it
in
on my
little comments
desktop.
or-
I'm like, I automatically plunk that in. So, yeah. Yeah, I'll share it. No problem.
I think that's all the questions we have, unless anybody has another one they'd like to bring up.
I should stop my screen. Stop share.
Oh, then
There
we're
we
all
go.
looking at each
Sorry.
other.
I can stop looking at my desktop. Yeah, if anybody just has any questions about Divi, you can contact me through my email, which I'll type into the chat.
When you hand off, do you, first of all, hand off sites to clients? And if so, what's their feedback on using Divi? Third part, have they ever used anything but Divi?
Yeah, I just recently did a website, a redesign and build for an agricultural company. And they tried to build their website from what they originally had, which was straight up HTML code, like from back in the 90s. They tried doing it with the 2020 theme, but it just, they gave up. And then I came in with Divi, and what I ended up, because they have an IT guy on staff, so they were going to maintain the website themselves. What I did was I just created a whole bunch of videos of how-tos, how to change this image, how to change this text, how to do your updates for your plugins or your theme. You know, and I just created a whole list of, you know, how-to videos, and I uploaded it to their server, which was fine because they had a huge honking server that could, you know, take the video sizes. So yeah, there's most of the clients I run into, they're all DIYers. And as soon as I just start showing them how things are working with, as far as the sections, rows, and columns, and all the modules, and how you can move things around and change things around, they're pretty much on board with it, especially when they see all the colors and all the, you know, so it's like, even so, if they run into issues, they'll end up calling me and like, oh, that's interesting what you tried to do there. So yeah, no, I haven't run into anybody that was completely flustered with it. Again, you run into some customers that they just simply don't want anything to do with it, and that's true for any theme. You know, they just want to focus on their work. They don't want to have to worry about the code or anything like that. So then I'll maintain it for them. So, and there's tons of support through Elegant Themes on YouTube, on Facebook groups. There's just tons and tons of articles of how to do things, especially if there's like a big version change coming up. You know, invariably, all the Facebook guys will start chatting about it, and they're like, oh, it doesn't do this, or it doesn't do that, or this is how you fix this. So yeah, you know, it's software. There's never a perfect thing, unfortunately.
I hear the same kinds of things about Beaver Builder. It's like, no, it doesn't do everything. It does these things.
Right. I mean, there's some companies out there that all they do is build plugins just for Divi. It's a whole ecosystem of just Divi. I use a Testify plugin that's built by a company that it's built for Divi. And it has like a whole back-end thing where you build a form with Gravity Forms, and you would send a link out to your client to go to this form to fill out their testimonial about their service or their product. And it shows up on the back end, and you can either approve it or trash it if it's not any good. And then if you approve it, it'll show up through a shortcode on the page on the front end. And it has all kinds of stylings and stuff like that. So it is kind of fun. You'll run into some really cool plugins like that. But I haven't run into issues with any other regular plugins that a lot of people use. I use Gravity Forms, Contact Form 7, you know, Auto Optimize I've used, Updraft, WordFence. So, and I didn't even tell you about all the woo. That's okay. That'll be a talk for next time.
You can do next month.
Yeah. Any other questions? Gosh.
I'll ask one more. When you start like a new site,
Yeah.
are you provided a design? Do you suggest a design? And if you're doing like the design and layout, so you can do that with Divi, do you just go through their like
If they
templates, their starter templates, or what? How do you approach that?
Well, again, it depends on what the client wants and what they already have. If they have their content and that they have an existing website, I'm basically scraping all their content and then reorganizing it to what they're looking for. And then sometimes I will use one of the Elegant Themes layouts just to help me get things set up structure-wise. But, you know, honestly, I just usually go in and I have a vision in my head already how I see the page, or I'll even sketch it out. It works best if you sketch it out, especially if you're going to use grid and stuff like that, because you really need to, like, okay, here's, you know, line numbers and stuff like that, so you can make sure you're not missing the code in there. But yeah, I mean, and then, you know, with Divi, you know, once you create a layout, you can save it. You can export that layout as a JSON file and then just use it somewhere else. You know, like an About Us page. How many different ways can you make an About Us page? You know, create a template, bring it in, change the colors, change the content, and you're done. I mean, that's the nice thing about Divi, is that you can templatize and speed things along, so that, you know, if you're charging only $2,500 for a site, you may not need the full 6 weeks to build it. You know, that's in the case if the client knows what they want. I have one client right now that it's like pulling teeth just to get like what they want to say on their website. It's because they didn't have a website, so they're starting from scratch completely. So in that case, yeah, I'll block some stuff in what makes sense, you know, and then let them look at it and see if they like it, or if they have an idea of other websites that they like, and I'll try and integrate that in there too. So hopefully somewhere in there I answered your question.
Yes.
Okay. And everything is changeable. That's the thing. When you come back and you start, okay, I've got pretty much all the content laid out, and I think it's ready for them to look at and to comment on. And then if they have questions, or if they'd rather have something moved, it's like no big deal. You can just simply drag it around or save part of it into the Divi library, and you can enter it in on another page. Yeah.
Are those presets available on all elements, or are there, I know I saw text and I saw buttons.
Yeah.
Are there some things you can't use a preset on?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Because it's right on the module. So again, it's only like a couple weeks old. So I think it's pretty much on all of the modules.
That was my favorite feature.
Yeah, okay. It's pretty cool.
That might sell me to at least give it a whirl.
Sharon has a question. Can you create a template on one website but use it on a second website? How would you do that?
Yeah. Divi has this portability feature, which is where when I was bringing in that sleep apnea page, I had built that for a dentist website I have a client with, and I saved the page as a JSON file, and you import that file into a new page for the second website. And again, you just go in and change the colors, change the text, change your content, and you're done. And I blame Kathy. Kathy was the one that taught me WordPress all those many years ago. Anyway.
You've definitely surpassed me in coding.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I did take Java.
Yeah.
And I, halfway through the course, I was like, why am I taking Java? I will never use this.
think almost everyone says that halfway through Java.
Oh my God, why?
It's hardcore.
We
It
actually
is.
built one site in Java, Java, PHP, and Google WebKit. I've never used two of those languages before, but somehow we made it work.
No.
I don't know how.
No.
That was a pain in the bottom.
There's Sharon had a question. Problem using Divi contact form with Outlook Mail. Yeah. It's sort of known within the Divi community that nobody uses the Divi's contact form module. We always end up using Gravity Forms or Contact Form 7 because
Isn't it like a general WordPress problem? Like a PHP mail problem?
probably, yeah. But even
Yeah, it's a general
so,
problem.
It's a
Yeah.
lot.
even so, Gravity, I just knee-jerk react to Gravity Forms with Divi because it has, you know, the honeypot feature right in there. It has this, what they call entries, so that in case the email doesn't hit your email, it's still saved on the back end in your dashboard. So,
So do you have your client pay for the Gravity Forms subscription, or do you just always renew it and you might have to do that forever for all your clients?
if I'm maintaining their website for them, it's all on my licenses. So, and they pay me back through the maintenance plan. But if they're going to go off on their own, I'm like, I give them.
Deactivate?
That's how I do it. I'd say if you join my maintenance plan, I maintain all the licenses.
What
Yeah,
a good idea.
Don't, you have 30 days to get your own license.
yeah. I just like, I give them a whole document of like all of the plugins that are being used and what's free and what's not. And I'm like, if you're going to go off on your own, here's the link of where you can buy it for yourself. And you have a certain amount of time in order to do that. And that's even with the theme itself for Divi, because it's not free.
Isn't that
I
a
even
little,
put that in my proposals. I'll say
Yeah.
these are the costs.
Yeah.
And if you want to buy them yourself and maintain yourself, awesome. This is what they cost as of today. Or if you buy a maintenance plan, I cover all that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's up to them.
yeah, if you let them know up front.
Yeah. And I'm
finding
transparent about it.
Otherwise, it's kind of sketchy. Oops, sorry, I put all these plugins in and they all expire if you don't pay me.
Well,
Yeah.
Divi does so much already on its own that you really don't need that many plugins. I mean, if you start adding in like all these different functionalities, then yeah, I mean, a plugin would make sense. But I do try and keep it down to a minimum because Divi itself is so big. And, you know, plus two, I mean, I had one client that was like, well, why are we using this theme? Why aren't we using the 2020 theme, which is free? And I'm like, because I use Divi. And once I showed them why, they're like, oh yeah, we can do this. And so it pays to like go into the premium theme sometimes. You know, and the pricing isn't that expensive. I mean, they have the option to go lifetime for only $250 lifetime. As many websites as you want to spin up. And they'll, you know.
They have Black Friday sales often too, don't they?
They do. And whenever it hits their anniversary too, sometimes they'll do a little sweetener for that too. And Divi Elegant Themes is also going to be coming out with their own marketplace. It's still in the works, where you can sell, you know, if I created a child theme and I can put it on their marketplace for sale and people can
Aren't
use
all their
that.
themes included though? Like, so how will that
It's
work?
going to be primarily for Divi users. So it's also plugins that you've created for Divi. Like I would love to have somebody create a module that was for the HTML table. That would be such a time saver for me because you always have to like tweak the CSS to get everything lined up right. So.
Nancy, have you ever used the Bloom and some of for their email marketing, or would you recommend sticking with like MailChimp or Mailster or something like that?
I recommend, it feels like from what I'm hearing in the community that Elegant Themes isn't really maintaining their Bloom and their Monarch. Monarch is for their social media. They're really just focused in on Divi and making that the best theme possible. So I always recommend going with third party like a MailChimp or a MailPoet or something like that. I find that sometimes the third party plugins will be more dynamic and will do more for you than what Bloom will do.
Okay.
All right. I think. All right. Any other questions?
Great job. Thanks for the tour. Thanks for speaking.
That was a fabulous presentation.
Really?
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Yes, very
Oh my God.
well thought out. Showed us everything. I thought it was great.
Very organized.
I printed up this whole thing.
Great.
There was no way to take notes fast enough. So
Yeah, I felt like I was going super fast, and I'm like, slow down, and like nobody's saying anything, and I'm like, oh no, they're not saying anything.
It's just an overview, though. You're not teaching in detail here.
Right.
In an hour and a
But
half.
you can hire me, and I'll be more than happy to tutor you.
Nice.
what are your ongoing rates?
Oh, that depends.
Nobody wants to say their rates.
Yeah.
Hey, Nancy,
Yeah.
there's a question from Richard Loffer, and I apologize if I'm mispronouncing your name. It says, before you all go, I have a question on hosting. So
Okay.
Rick, you have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi, it's Rick here. Yeah, the question I have, I've been sitting in on the last 4 or 5 WordPress meetings, and I'm preparing to buy a hosting service here, and I've kind of narrowed it down to SiteGround. I know they just raised their prices, unfortunately, before I could make a purchase on it, but before I commit to them, does anybody have any opinions on, you know, who might be a better choice for this, but before I make that decision and make that purchase?
I like SiteGround myself.
I think a lot of people use SiteGround. I do want to just say that a lot of them are starting to increase their prices now. I think one thing with SiteGround that is confusing about their pricing, especially when you want to share the information with your client, is that the more you purchase, the more expensive it is instead of reverse. So they have 3 tiers. You buy the 1 year, it's the cheapest. By 2 years, it's a little more expensive. 3 years, it's a little more expensive. So it's a very confusing pricing tier. But they are all starting to go up, as are domains, because they moved the law that sort of held a cap on those. So they have a feeling a lot of things are going to start increasing in price. I just wanted to throw that in there.
I've moved several clients over to Flywheel, and simply because their customer service is top notch. They are fantastic. I would even venture to say that they are better in their customer service than SiteGround. I've been hearing stuff about SiteGround's customer service not being on par as what they used to be. So in my mind, I would look at Flywheel. It's a little bit more expensive than SiteGround, but again, it's really, you're paying for your location on the internet. How much time do you spend looking for your house? Think of it that way. It's location, location, location. The better the web hosting is, the faster your website will be, the better the customer service will be. I mean, I was on the chat with Flywheel one night where I had accidentally crashed my sister-in-law's website, and it was like 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock in the morning, just like working out why the site crashed. And thankfully it wasn't my fault. It was WordFence. So I mean, but they're there, you know, and when you like migrate a site over, they create a staging site just so that they make sure that they got everything and it's working right before it actually goes live. So I can't plug them enough, in my opinion. But either SiteGround or Flywheel.
Anybody else? have
Well,
another-
WP Engine too, if it's in the budget. But that's similar to maybe a Flywheel.
Yeah, Flywheel and WP Engine are both sort of next tier above SiteGround. So you're getting, it's kind of like you're getting what you pay for there, where you're paying more, but you're also getting more service. Whereas SiteGround is more old school. You know, you've got your support chat, your message boards, your tickets, and cPanel, but you're also paying a lot less than you would with those premium hosts.
Here's a question I have is, for me being brand new to this is going to be my first time trying to build out a website. So if you're in my position, as you say, you get what you pay for. And I was looking at WP Engine. I noticed the prices were, you know, much higher than SiteGrounds are. If you're new to this and just starting out, is it a better idea to, you know, spend less money as you begin to learn how to do this, and then once I'm on solid footing with how to kind of build out my website, then maybe a year or 2 or 3 years from now, I might say, okay, I realize I've been able to take in enough money from the website that I've been building for my business. Now I can upgrade to maybe Flywheel or WP Engine. So I guess the question is, brand new to it, do you want to start out with the most expensive web hosting, or would it be better to get something that everybody seems to have a positive opinion about, SiteGround, but is lower priced?
Yeah, another thing about Flywheel is that they have what's called local by Flywheel, and it's a local installation. Like all the demonstration that I did today was on my local by Flywheel platform. And the nice thing about that is that you can spin up as many websites as you want, as many different WordPress installations as you want. And each of those can be then connected to Flywheel's hosting. And so if you just want to have some time to practice with things, I would recommend going with a local environment first before spending any money.
Can you explain a little bit more what you mean by local versus not?
Yeah, it's where the development of the WordPress site, of your website, will be done locally on your desktop or your laptop. It's not on a live server where anybody in the world can see it, potentially. Okay. It's just on your laptop.
All right.
You don't have to pay to have that set up, but I'm sure Flywheel probably makes it easier.
It's free. The local by Flywheel is free, but it's on the hope that you'll upload that site into their hosting plan. That's why they make it.
I use local by Flywheel, but never pushed to Flywheel. Really.
Yeah,
so you can still use that.
If you really want to get down to nuts and barrels, I mean, you can just install like a XAMPP installation and just do it by scratch that way. But
it's much more technically complicated.
It can be. Once you get it set up and you know the routine of how to set it up, it's okay. But again, you know, I would rather just install local by Flywheel and just go crazy on that.
Yeah, I would say, I mean, if you're looking for a beginner, like a philosophical approach for beginners, don't try to save money on hosting. If you can afford the $20 a month that is Flywheel, you're basically paying for them to take care of any technical problems you have with the server. If your domain won't hook up, if your database crashes for some reason, if a plugin goes wrong and you don't know why, just email Flywheel and they'll fix it for you. And so what you're buying is developer time. And with SiteGround, you're paying for less of that. So you would be paying less for their hosting, but then you're making up for that in time that you have to spend chatting with them, figuring out the answer on your own, figuring out where to go to fix it. So
what sounds like you're saying there, Claire, is I've been a MacBook user for 10 years now, and while I pay more for them, the customer service I've got, and I've got so much in free customer service through them over the phone and in stores. It's always worth the money that I pay for the MacBook.
Yeah, that's my philosophy. Whenever I can, I try to get my clients to pay for Flywheel, even though it is more expensive, because it's time I don't have to spend and they don't have to spend fixing things. My own site is on SiteGround because, you know, I know what's going to break and it's cheaper. But yeah, Flywheel is my preference always because I hate fixing server things.
I mean, I've got hosting with InMotion hosting. I've got hosting with SiteGround, and I'm about ready to dive into Flywheel officially. But I have clients that are on SiteGround, on Flywheel. And my opinion, I don't like InMotion hosting because you can't get any email things done on it. You have to load, what is it? Some sort of WP email something to process all the emails on their server. They just simply won't handle emails. So, and I'm like, it's the most basic thing to have on a website is to have a contact form and an email so people can contact you. And they just simply, I talk to the customer service and they're just like, we don't do it. I'm like, okay. But, and then Flywheel though, just like being on the phone with them, with a client, they're just right on spot with that. So I would seriously look into the local by Flywheel just so that you can get your website built locally and worked out, you know, however long it takes. And then when you're ready to go live with it, then you can choose where you want to put it.
I have a question then for you guys. Irvana looks like she's trying to speak, but it's not working for her.
Yeah, she needs to start doing the things in the chat.
Yeah, type in the chat, Irvana.
Yeah, you're not muted, but we can't hear you.
Yeah, but for those of you who do, I don't know how many here now do maintenance for your clients, you know, like technical maintenance using managed WP or whatever. If you're using Flywheel, does that kind of wipe out the need for you as a maintainer?
No.
I can, yeah, I have a couple clients on Flywheel and I charge them monthly maintenance, and Flywheel actually has a servants where they will take care of it. I mean, they would be paying Flywheel to do the plugin updates and testings. And I think it's about comparable to what I charge anyway, like $40 a month or $25 a month or something. But you always need to test your plugins and upgrade them manually. So somebody has to do it.
When you do maintenance, do you only do like updates though? Like, do they ever ask for like more content or like another menu item?
Depends on the client. I have a couple clients who can't operate their own email, so they just pay me hourly to do, you know, put on a new picture or change their email addresses on the website. And then I have others that maintain their content themselves, and then I just do they generally have calendars, translation plugins, more complicated things, and then I maintain and test the plugins for them.
All right.
I have a question. When I used to update plugin on my clients, but what I found is like whenever we try to update plugin, the maintenance mode activated is getting activated on the WordPress on that side. So during that time, what usually happens is on the front end, if the update is still on the process, which means that any visitor that visit that particular site, they will saw that, okay, it's under maintenance, the site is under maintenance. So do you have like kind of a way to update the plugin, but not showing that maintenance mode on the front end? When I tried to figure that out, but I couldn't find it because it's, you know, there are some sites that got like 300, 400 real-time visitors. I mean, it's not a good way to show them that the site is under maintenance.
I don't have a way to get around that. If I know that the plugin is going to do that on a site that tends to be slower, it's a big plugin, I will try to do the update during an off hour, like late at night or very early in the morning. I don't take sites down to test them or update them, but yeah, I don't know a way to not have that happen.
I just hit the button and just hope and pray.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, because I maintain like a couple of websites that is a news website. Even like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, you still have like 80, 90 people still reading that website. I do find a way like if I use FTP, I download the plugin from the WordPress repository and upload it directly to FTP into the site, upload it directly, then that will, yes, that will not show that the maintenance mode, but you know, that's time consuming. Suppose like you're updating like 5 or 10 plugin in one shot, then
where's the site hosted? Because like you could do that on a staging situation. If you have like WP Engine, you can do a duplicate site that's staging, pull everything down from prod. I don't know though, like if it's a website that like has people uploading things or whatnot, then that timing you can't push necessarily from staging. You can only pull, do the update, but you still have to do that update, I guess, on prod. So that doesn't necessarily fix the problem.
yeah, I know there's a way that kind of like, as you have just said that about staging, but the problem with that, if in that when I'm pulling the site now, okay, so like it took me like 5 minutes to push it back, okay, all the updates. But what if it within the time span, like someone comment in some of the blog posts or somewhere they make some changes, I mean, from front end, so that change that they have done, it might be lost.
Yeah, unless
would
you get really
especially
good
be-
at pushing one database table at a time.
Also, especially with e-commerce where people are actually placing orders while you're, you know, moving the database around.
Yeah, similarly to that.
Yeah, in that case, if it's an e-commerce site, I would put up like a maintenance mode, you know, front end page so that nobody can put any orders through until the updates have completed. And then you can take that sucker down and then everything is business as normal. You know, depending on the size of the plugin though, I mean, you know, why it would take that long to update. It's kind of scary that maybe that needs some looking at.
I find that to be things that are hosted on GoDaddy, I find that to be an issue. I have some clients, they use Divi on GoDaddy, which I think is a bad combo.
Yeah.
And the plugin can take forever. It'll actually show the site down while it's updating.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean,
good.
there's a plugin. I know it's through SeedProd, SEEDPROD. It's like a maintenance thing, and you can get it for free. Of course, you can pay for it if you want, but I just go with the free one. And you just load up like the logo of the company, and you just type in a short message. Sorry, we're undergoing some maintenance, pardon our dust or whatever. And put that up so that nobody can actually get in and like put their orders in and stuff like that. And then when you're done with whatever you need doing to the site, you can just simply, you know, disable that plugin. That's what I would do.
Yeah, about that, I actually, before I used that, but now, you know, I create like a PHP file, maintenance.php, if I'm not mistaken, and I upload it into the WP content. I put all the notice, like the message that I want to show while I'm doing maintenance. So instead of the plain old-fashioned WordPress maintenance message, okay, it will show your message. I mean, the moment you start updating the plugin, and the moment the maintenance mode kick in, that instead of showing the old-fashioned WordPress, it will show that script that I have written. I mean, the page that I'm designing. You can code that in PHP. Automatically, it will show your design, not the WordPress design. I mean, instead of using the plugin, activate plugin, and activate that maintenance plugin, update your plugins, deactivate it, and that will take a lot of time. But having that, the moment you update, that will come into the front end page.
Yeah, I think whatever works for you, I mean, and for your client, I mean, that's really the ultimate goal, is like you want to try and find the best solution that makes life easy for everybody all around. You know, so if it's plugin or for something that you hand code, you know, go for it.
Yeah, I'm just trying to get rid of the maintenance mode. You know, I don't want for it to get activated, but actually I got things around like how to twitch here and there. It's working for me, but I just want to, if there's a way.
Well, that's what banks do, isn't it? I know, like banks and other, you know, financial sites that can't risk having transactions get lost. They just shut down for a half hour every Friday night or every Saturday night, and just put up the screen. You know, we're maintaining now, and that way it's completely inaccessible for half an hour, and there's no chance that, you know, anyone's going to accidentally do something while you're changing the database.
They usually let you know ahead of time. Like they'll have a little message up all week, Friday night, 5 o'clock.
Our bank is always, my husband's always balancing the checkbook at midnight on Friday, and that's always when they do their server time. So we are aware of the schedule.
Hey, at least he balances the checkbook. I haven't balanced my checkbook in ages.
Nobody has. Nobody has.
Not that I don't know how, it's just that I just don't.
Yeah, there's a way around. Yeah, always a way.
I know Josh mentioned something more about Flywheel. Did we answer your question fairly well? Because I still have my Flywheel open, my local, that I can do a quick share screen and you can see it if you want.
Yeah, so I was interested in knowing about how you go, you know, it's easier to develop locally. So what's the ongoing connection? You continue to develop locally. And so Claire had mentioned that you can pull down the latest version and then re-upload. And it sounds like that process it works fairly well. Sometimes it's a little hiccupy or slow, but
yeah, sometimes it does get a little buggy for some reason. And I don't know why. You know, you just need to like re-download the software and just go from there again. But let me share my screen once more, because I do have the local by Flywheel open over here. And you can see, let me move you guys over. You can see these are all of the various websites that I have spun up locally on my laptop. Okay. The nice thing too is that it also has this live link down here. So if I'm building something, if I'm building this website for a client and it's like ready for comments or what have you from them, I can enable this and it's creating a link, and this HTML link, and get over here. And then I would just copy this into an email and send it to the client, and they can then go to this website and take a look at what I've done. For some reason, it's taking forever. That's part of the problem too. It does take a little bit of time.
Well, you're also live streaming.
Yeah, that's
true too.
Right?
That's true too. But you just like, you know, copy and paste this into an email. And as long as you have that link open, the client can like go onto their website from their office or their home, and they can take a look at what I've built here and say, oh, I hate this grid. Why the hell did you build this grid? I hate it. Get rid of it. So, you know, I'm like, okay, you're the one that's paying for it. But yeah, each one of these is its own WordPress site. And I don't know if this helps or not.
I would say if there's ever a situation where a site's content is editable by anyone other than yourself or by a user, you never want to do a push from your local to the live production site. But if you are the only one ever working on it, pull and push as you please.
Yeah.
And
the database, I mean, plugins whatever themes, you can always just pull down whenever you need to.
And then when you're ready to like launch a site, there's this button down here, connect to host. You click on that and it'll log you into your account with Flywheel, or help you create, even if you call them, call Flywheel, they will, they can access into this and say, oh, you want this to go live. Okay, cool. And they'll help you. Again, their customer service is top notch.
Nancy, it'll work with, you can push to WP Engine from local.
The Flywheel.
I think it said WP
Engine logo
Engine
too.
on your connected host screen. It said WP Engine.
Are they?
Maybe. Oh yeah. Because WP Engine owns Flywheel.
Another host.
They bought Flywheel.
Oh, that's right. That's
Yeah,
right.
they bought Flywheel last year.
So yeah, I guess you can. But again, I would go with Flywheel because their pricing's cheaper. But they're owned by WP Engine.
How long have they owned them, and do you foresee that getting merged?
It's been like a year and a half now, I think, maybe 2. And
I hate
so
when
far,
when it gets bought out by someone else because I'm afraid of changes.
but I don't think WP Engine will
June.
get rid of Flywheel. I think, I think because WP Engine's pricing is so much more expensive, they like having a lower tiered pricing to get more customers, I think. So, yeah, I didn't see that before because I only use this for actually building websites, and then if they're going to end up over on SiteGround or InMotion Hosting or wherever, I can simply, with Divi, with their portability, is zip everything up into JSON files and then re-import them once I get to the new install.
I use it for development with Pantheon quite a bit because you can't push directly to, you can only push directly to Flywheel using local by Flywheel, but you can still on your own hook up a Git repository on GitHub or Bitbucket, or just take your local database and copy it, or take a database from another host and suck it down to your local. So I use it with every hosting provider that I have clients with.
I think there's a plugin for it to migrate, to push it to the host. Like I think it's called Duplicator, and it's free if I'm not mistaken.
I use WP Migrate DB Pro, but there's there's a duplicate one.
I mean the plugin name. I think it's a Duplicator. The name of the plugin is Duplicator.
Yeah,
I found about
Duplicator. Yeah.
Yeah. I think Paul uses that too, right? Is he gone?
I think he left. Yeah.
Okay. Any other
Backup buddy.
questions? Everybody holding up under the heat?
I have a question.
Sure.
Mod security issues with Divi email opt-in module.
Okay.
Divi told me that the opt-in email opt-in isn't working because of mod security. And I have HostGator as my hosting company. I've tried for the past 5 evenings and they can't fix it.
I'm not familiar with HostGator. I have used the email opt-in module. It's been on SiteGround. I have no issue there. SiteGround, you can use WordFence as a security plugin. I've used it also over on Flywheel with no issue, but when you go with Flywheel as a host, do not add WordFence at all.
Oh.
So yeah, I don't know if it might be your security plugin that might be affecting it.
All I know that it worked for 4 months and all of a sudden the last 5 weeks, 6 weeks, it's not working.
Yeah, I don't know. There might have been an update within Divi and suddenly things aren't working right. But I haven't seen anything regarding that. But again, I'm not familiar with HostGator as a host. So I couldn't help you on that. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. I would tell you that just move your hosting over to Flywheel or to SiteGround.
I might have to do that, but I've removed plugins and nothing has worked. And HostGator deactivated WP Forms plugin from the website. They were telling me that was the issue, but it's still not working.
Again, I don't use WP Forms. I use Gravity. So my first reaction would be to possibly upgrade into some of the better plugins and see if that does it for you, or, you know, check your hosting again.
Okay.
I use WP Forms all the time and have never had a problem with it. I mean, I would blame HostGator, honestly. HostGator is not a good hosting company. They're owned by EIG, and they're very they're pretty, you know. I wouldn't host a site there. It would surprise me if they weren't being helpful.
Yeah, and even if they did tell you something, odds are it's probably not even what's really going on, and it's really their hosting, their service level just isn't there simply because it's owned by EIG, and they just jam as many websites on their servers as possible and do
they will never tell you it's their host servers. It's like GoDaddy. It's never their fault.
Right. And so I would seriously consider changing your hosting and then going through and checking your email opt-in, and odds are it'll probably work.
Okay.
So
thank you.
Sorry, you're gonna have to spend some money.
Not a problem.
Again, it's the whole location thing with hosting.
I agree.
Yeah.
HostGator 5 years ago was pretty decent.
Yeah.
They probably got bought. I used to host with it was like I don't know, like musical chairs for a while there with EIG buying up small hosting companies. I think 2 or 3 hosts that I used to trust and like got bought up by EIG, and it was like one by one I had to move all my sites off them. So yeah, they probably were fine, and then they got bought, and service just went to crap.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I transferred in 2017. It looks like I could not stop all the spam I was getting. It was just filling up everything. I moved over to SiteGround, haven't had a problem with it, knock on wood, at all.
Has anybody used Clean Talk with their email? I was just wondering, you know, because I get that recommendation over on the Facebook groups, is that to prevent spam, who is it, Ken Jones, coming through on your contact forms trying to sell you SEO. It's always Ken.
I get hardly anything anymore.
Okay, all right, just curious.
All right, I have to put my kids to bed.
Oh, my goodness.
So much, Nancy.
It's after 8, no problem.
Yeah,
thank you.
I'll let you go, Nancy. Thanks so much for all your expertise.
Thank you for letting me do this. Hopefully.
Oh, anytime. We'll get you back for a WooCommerce and Divi.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Nancy, for your presentation. A nice one. I haven't used Divi, but I got lots of idea how to. Maybe I'll use it in the future. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah, and I didn't even mention too, like for the rows, instead of using like pixels, you can start using, you know, VWs and VH for your responsiveness. It just makes life so much easier to just use percentages.
Actually, I haven't come across that term. I used to use RAM, EM, and pixel. But so the moment you show it there, I Google what is that VM. I haven't come across that thing.
Yeah.
It's a new. I learned something new. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. I was nervous.
It happens. We are human.
Okay. All right.
All right, I'm going to stop recording.
All right. Thanks, Claire.
Yeah, thanks, Claire, for hosting, and thanks, Nancy. Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.